Tea Time today with me, Chaiti Narula. We're right here at the JP Greens in Greater Noida, and joining me on the show from New Delhi is Ravi Saund of CHD Developers. Now, there are very few people in life who actually scratch beneath the surface. Ravi Saund firmly believes that believe in what you do and love what you do, everything else in life will fall into place. Discussing his mantra for life and for business today is Ravi Saund of CHD Developers on Tea Time.
On the show this week, we have Ravi Saund, COO, CHD Developers.
An India possession is like a wish list, which is weird. I mean, I would want to know the day you're going to be delivering, and you should stick to it. Things like these, there has to be rules governing us.
In news, Webb Simpson's 6-shot victory in Vegas wins Children Open. And Jin Jong wins the Perth International.
Welcome to Tea Time.
Thank you. It's pleasure was mine. Thank you.
So I've come across very few people in life who actually end up scratching below the surface, and you're one of them. I was reading about you the other day, and somewhere you mentioned, love what you do and believe in yourself, and everything in life will fall into place.
Absolutely. From early years in my life, if I didn't feel like going to school, there was something wrong there.
Right.
Similarly, the idea was to go to the right college.
Right.
If you don't feel like going to the college, there's something wrong there. If you don't feel like getting up in the morning and going to your office and doing what you're doing, there is something either wrong with the office or what you're doing. So if 2 months in a row, if you're not happy, then there's a change.
There is something wrong.
Yeah,
there is a change. That is interesting philosophy. I love the way you follow your passion. So real estate, you made your way into the real estate sector. Is that your passion? Is that what you love doing the most?
Well, besides my family, my lovely wife and my 2 children, real estate is all I love. It's like a new baby born every time a building gets possessed. It's excellent. I just love it.
My golf coaching clearly seems to be helping me in my tee-offs, actually. So talking about Tempest now, real estate sector, something that poses a lot many challenges as you go along the way.
Yeah.
Which are the toughest challenges that you face? In fact, if you mentioned regulation, I wouldn't really be too surprised.
Yeah, I know. See, real estate is a beautiful sector to be in. Like, I love India.
You're the only one who's saying this. One saying this.
Well, it's your set of mind. There are issues in real estate, like in any other industry. One of the biggest issues is the external environment which we face. The external area improves, improves really fast, and improves in a fashion where the government sees us as developers as a client.
Okay.
The problem is that if the government doesn't see us as a client, they don't see our problems and then solve the problems. So the idea is, if there's a problem, there is reason for it. Go to the reason and solve it. So, for example, we've been talking about a single window for a long, long time.
I know. The single window clearance system is something that you've been battling personally quite a while.
Yes. Personally, I think it's a great way of going ahead. The idea is people should know where to go. What to do, and absolutely know what not to do.
Right.
The time which we spend on doing approvals is approximately 20 to 20% of the entire project time, which is a lot of time. And which can easily be efficiently reduced.
Right.
So that's something which I would love to see.
Ravi, staying with regulation, a regulation bill for the real estate market, what's your take on that?
Again, I love it. See, the idea is that we need rules.
Right.
And we need rules which are going to be helping developers delivering the right product to the client.
True.
The idea is not to curtail or put us behind bars or to make sure that we don't do something which the government doesn't desire us to do.
Right.
If the government doesn't desire us to do something, put it in black and white. We would absolutely go and not do it. The idea is to do business, do clear, clean business in India. I mean, the world is looking at India.
So the clear, clean business, is that even a possibility in the sector that you deal with?
Absolutely. So a small example, when I took up real estate after I did my MBA, it was called property at that point of time.
Correct.
And the alumni book of my college told me that, can we change it into my father's business? Because that property was not something you would want to be. And I told them no. So from there, 20 years ago to now, which is real estate professionals, like a whole lot of us are coming in, things are improving. I see a bright future. I don't see any reason why the property business or the real estate business cannot be streamlined into black and white, into legal and illegal. More importantly, the illegal part should be taken care of and legal should be allowed. So for example, which date do you deliver the project? So I have made sure that my children are going to be going into a school after I have booked a unit in a particular project, and I've done a whole lot of items which depends upon the possession. And in India, possession is like a wish list, which is weird. I mean, I would want to know the day you're going to be delivering, and you should stick to it. Things like these, there has to be rules governing us.
Ravi, you have totally shunned the idea of investing in a land bank. Instead, you seem to be following a segment, a focus based on segment, geography, etc.
Yeah, well...
what's the idea?
Well, idea is very simple. So we are focused. So we are mid-segment residential player. We are an NCR player. We love Haryana. We are in Gurgaon and Karnal.
Right.
Now, having said that, the idea is for us, we treat land as an inventory.
Okay.
Not an asset.
Not an asset.
Yeah. So the idea is that I don't want to waste time in developing that parcel of land, getting it converting into FSI and then constructing and selling it.
Right.
So if you divide the whole process, there are 4 kinds of people. One are the landowners.
Right.
The others are who get the land converted into FSI, which is the developed area. And then there are developers, and then there are people who maintain. So we are the last 2. We only cover the last 50% of the pie and not first 50% of the pie, because we believe that's our expertise. Again, the idea is to be efficient. So we are really efficient in constructing, selling, giving possession and maintaining. We just want to do that. So that's the reason why we do it.
You discussed about your love for Haryana and Gurgaon and the NCR region as well. That is something that we will be discussing in much detail. The market when it comes to the NCR region in this country. On the other side of this break, take a quick breather on tea time. We will see you on the other side.
It is absolutely killing to spend 2 hours a day traveling from Delhi to Gurgaon. So that's the reason why people want to shift into Gurgaon.
Lovely.
Thank you.
You're quite good for being an amateur golfer, actually.
I try my best.
Welcome back to Tea Time. We're in conversation with Ravi of CHD Developers, and we were discussing about the NCR market in much detail. Now, for people who are living in the NCR region, there are a lot of pet peeves, right from water to power to a lot of commotion to a lot of issues. So, but the life in NCR region is deemed to be much superior than in actual Delhi. So, no surprises there that the middle class is not being able to afford the NCR region anymore.
See, if you divide the pricing into 3 formats, one would be the profit, the other would be cost of construction, and third would be the cost of land. The supply of land is very limited. So that's the reason the cost of land is increasing the maximum.
Yeah, it's just a demand-supply equation.
So the solution to that problem is simple: to have bigger pieces of land. The government has to make sure that the approach road to that parcel, which is 50 kilometers from Delhi or Gurgaon, has a road, has a sewer, has a water supply, and the prices will automatically come down.
And you think the prices will come down going forward this year? Or?
I would want prices to come down.
Now that the Dwarka Expressway has become really the center of Gurgaon really, and around which you are even planning development through CHD as well.
Yes,
do you think you're about to see some changes coming in terms of pricing in the NCR region after that?
Now what has happened is, since last 7 to 8 years, Gurgaon has become the central business district.
True.
Unlike what it used to be 10 years ago, which used to be Delhi now. So that's how the prices went up. All the offices are over there. It is absolutely killing to spend 2 hours a day traveling from Delhi to Gurgaon. So that's the reason why people want to shift into Gurgaon.
So the demand is on an upside.
Absolutely. And considering the Dwarka Expressway, one is it's really close to the airport. That's one. Second is that it was a clean slate. So it was a farmland where people could go buy and government could acquire land and put infrastructure in place. Again, I say infrastructure speed is less, but if you compare it to previous years in Gurgaon, Dwarka Expressway is a faster development taking place. Till that happens, the prices will remain stable. And once the development is full, it could be next year, prices are really going to skyrocket just because it's close to the airport and Delhi.
Okay, we're going to discuss a little more in detail about the NCR market, but time now for me to play a chip shot and continue with my game. Now, FDI in the real estate sector, we're seeing foreign direct investments going down in the country. How is that impacting your sector?
The reason why foreign direct investment is coming less into India is because of the rest of the world, not too much about us. Having said that, when money shrinks, cost of procuring money goes up.
Okay.
So if a bank
We're going to come to currency depreciation on the other side actually, but for now what I really want to focus on is that the lessening of FDI influx and its impact on the real estate sector now. How is that impacting?
It's a very capital intensive industry.
Right.
We need a lot of money to buy land, convert it and then construct.
Right.
And the Indian laws doesn't allow a bank or an institution to fund land procurement. Any source when reduces, the cost of procuring that land goes up.
Right.
Because the interests go up, the desire of the owner of that money goes up. So when FDI is reduced, we get negatively impacted in the sense that the cost of procurement goes up.
Okay.
The number of projects are less because you cannot expand.
Now we're speaking about foreign direct investments and speaking about other countries abroad as well. You offline in your conversation mentioned to me that India is really the place where one must be right now,
yes.
because the opportunities are manifold. Yes, in India. Why do you think so?
Well, first is I love India. I like the rains, I like the congestion, I like the people, I love everything. Having said that, that's not important. I am an Indian at heart and so I love it. The more important thing is the rest of the world loves us. You know, they're just waiting for our economy to get stable. They don't see a desirable 10% growth every year. They would love 6 to 7% growth of pan-India in a consistent format. If they love us, I mean, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be loving ourselves.
So you think all the opportunity at the moment in terms of careers and in terms of ambitions can be achieved right here in India itself and you don't need to look outside?
Absolutely.
Is your love for India also something that you're exuding through your CSR initiatives here? You are doing a lot of corporate social responsibility and exuding that on the part of CHD Developers and also in your personal capacity. What are these?
So my love for currently we have a Komal Ankur initiative,
right,
which started personally from my college days. So I'm from Mumbai, from Sydney. We had a society called Poor Students Educational thing the government and private sector should focus upon. Currently, our initiative is girl education and green. So Komal Ankur fits both.
So before we take a break, what are your last thoughts on what is that one factor the NRI needs to keep in mind before investing in the Indian ecology and the way of things in the Indian real estate market?
First is that when they invest in India, they must look at the background of the developer. They must see his financial status.
Right.
Once they have seen that, they should see the zone they would want to. So would they want to buy an apartment in Gurgaon or Noida or Gurgaon or Faridabad or Sonipat. Once they have done that, they must go and visit the project. See what is the stature. So if the developer, for example, had said they would deliver in 4 years' time, is the project on time? Because it's very important to deliver the project on time. And if the company is in financial difficult position, they would probably not deliver it on time. So these are the 3-4 items which NRI should absolutely see it. Just don't Google or call your uncle or aunt and say, I want to invest, and they would suggest, come to India. One more reason to come to India.
But the rupee is also depreciating, and
yes,
we will continue discussing the impact of the depreciation of the rupee on the real estate market in larger detail with Ravi Saund of CHD Developers. Let's take a quick break. On the other side, this and much more.
World is changing, so is India, so is real estate. Having said that, client is the most important person in a developer's life.
Thank you for staying with us on Tea Time. We're in conversation with Ravi of CHD Developers. Now, before we took a break, we were discussing about the rupee movement and how that impacts the real estate market as well. Now, the rupee is depreciating.
Yes.
With that, imports become more expensive, which means construction becomes more expensive. Now, does that make under construction property dearer?
Well, it's a little complicated than that. The Indian government is trying to make sure that India becomes an export-oriented company, like China. That's the overall scenario. And if we see that effect, which is, again, if the purchasing power of individual in India grows up, the real estate also booms.
Right.
So that's the macro angle to it.
Right.
The items which we are importing, and normally now we are only importing, most of us are importing from China.
Right.
They become more expensive.
Right.
But if we consider the percentage of imported items as of overall cost of construction, it would be less than 5%.
Correct.
The overall impact, therefore, in construction cost is very less.
Right.
But if you're comparing it to the cost, what the item cost last year to now, yes, the cost has gone up, and to that extent, it is affecting us negatively. Yes.
So, Ravi, what is it exactly that the consumer should bear in mind given the scenario in India today before investing into the real estate sector?
World is changing, so is India, so is real estate. Having said that, client is the most important person in a developer's life. I mean, after all, he's the one who is giving us money for which we make the building.
Consumer is the king.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Most of the time, it's more frequently said than followed.
Right.
So first thing, when a client walks into any company or any project, you must see if the company is customer-centric. Now, that's the overall environment which I believe should be customer-centric. The important items would be transparency. So, for example, the developer should have all processes in order. They should have all licenses in order, all approvals in order. And there is no harm simply by asking the sales or the front sales guys for those approvals. I mean, if you have it, you might as well show it. And one good thing you can do is talk to the construction guys. So when you go to the site, don't talk to the sales guys. And I am from a sales background, but I'm still saying it. Talk to the construction guys. Those are the guys who are going to tell you where the project is, what time it's going to finish, and what are the challenges. So those are the guys you need to call.
Now we're going to talk a little more in detail about 106 Dwarka Avenue. That's something I'm very interested to discuss in detail with you, but after we finish our game. Come.
Sure, go on.
Lovely. So Ravi, 106 Golf Avenue at Dwarka Expressway. What prompted you to start a golf-centric township here?
Well, it wasn't golf-centric at the beginning. We did a survey of our target audience.
Right.
And very soon we realized that the shift is now living healthy. Like you and me were talking offline, most of the younger generation wants to live healthy.
True.
So from just a visual change in the facility which we provide, we wanted to go to a sport-based facility. So that was the first survey. We knew very clearly it had to be sporting. The second thing was when we went back to them and did a survey about what kind of sports they would want, We are a mid-segment residential player. Most of our target audience told us that golf was beyond that. Golf was for the elite or the rich or the top of the pyramid. So that's where the personal CHD challenge came in. The idea was to give them what they thought was beyond their reach. So at CHD, that's something which we cherish. If we can give more than what they expect, we love to do it. So that's how we got into golf.
So under-promising and over-delivering remains here.
Absolutely. That's the mantra. You get up in the morning, say it, and if you can complete it by night, you're a happy man.
Something on the lines of the 106th Avenue in Mumbai. What's your take? Well, would you want to even foray into Mumbai and giving Mumbai its own golf-centric township ever?
Well, it's difficult to enter Mumbai. Currently, our focus is Delhi NCR. 5 years down the line, we would move to Mumbai. Having said that, never say never. I do understand there is shortage of space. I do understand the formats of golf haven't yet developed to fit into Mumbai. I am a dreamer, sometimes overachiever. If you ask me what I would want to do, I would probably want to create a golf course by acquiring land in the sea, like on the lines of what Dubai did. So 15 years ago, we could never imagine that there's going to be an Atlantis in the middle of Palm Jumeirah. So today we think that no, how can there be golf-centric development in Mumbai because there is water and there is hardly any land? Maybe policies will change. Maybe it's going to be possible 5 years down the line because definitely there is technology.
On that note, thank you so much for joining me on Tea Time.
Pleasure was all mine. Thank you for having me.
On that note, that's a wrap from Ravi Saund of CHD Developers and me, Chaiti Narula, on Tea Time. I will see you next week. See you.